What's up, YouTube? Prop Guy back here again. Today we're going to be looking at not only just an important product, but a product that I really believe in is very beneficial for this very important topic. And that is, if you are a fan like me, you love watching movies and TV shows, you want to get the best quality for your viewing experience that you can. And to start that, you need a high definition source, either an HD stream from like Hulu and Netflix, something like that, or even better, Blu-ray. Now, obviously, regular Blu-ray is fantastic. High definition audio, high definition video. 4K even better with Dolby Atmos or DTSD, or just the 4K picture really improves upon Blu-ray itself. Obviously, you need a high definition source like that, and then you want to be viewing it on a very, well, I don't want to say very good TV, because there's some good budget TVs out there too that can deliver really fantastic picture and performance. But you definitely want to be doing it on a high definition television, and if you really want to step it up, you definitely want to add surround sound to that. But all TVs need to be calibrated. Right out of the box, you have a few factory presets, and some of those are better than others, especially for sports and things like that, or just general TV viewing. But even with those presets, you're still not going to get the best picture quality or sound quality till you do a calibration on your TV and or surround sound. Now, there are many products out there to help you calibrate your TV, all the way from discs like these to having a professional come and do an ISF full calibration. Now, that can get rather expensive, but if you pick up a calibration disc, you can do it yourself, and it saves you a lot of time, a lot of money, and you learn a little bit along the way. Now, there are many calibration discs out there. I prefer this one because for the beginner, it's really easy. It explains a lot about the fundamentals, and there's varying levels. You got a beginner level, there's an advanced level, and there's an expert level. And there's all sorts of tools and instructions along the way to help you get the most out of your theater viewing experience and help you understand what changes you're making, how that affects the picture and sound quality. It really does a lot to help you. Now, this is the Disney Wow disc, World of Wonder, and it's a really nice set. It includes a lot of functions. Not only does it explain things rather easily for you, but it includes tons of tools. You have a blue screen filter, which you'll need for color and hue adjustments. You have your main disc here of your optimizer, and it's got some things you can experience afterwards to let you see how before and after what you kind of have done. It's got a little quick start guide here for the other disc, the Visions disc. A bunch of nature type scenes that you can use to explore. And it comes with, obviously, here's that Visions disc. And it comes with this really step-by-step manual. It's actually rather lengthy. And see, here's some information about sharpness, angle tests, contrast, brightness, overscan, scaling, purity, all sorts of things like that. It's a really fantastic set. But that's just part one. We're going to pop this disc in here in a minute and take a look at that, and we'll go from there and show you a little bit more in depth what all this set can really do for your home theater. So stay tuned. Just let me get set up and we'll be right back. Alright, so now that we've got the disc in place, now the specs I'm using for this, I'm using a 2015 series E-Series Vizio E48-inch TV. It is connected by a PlayStation 3, and also for our sound we are using a Sony, I can't remember what the model number is. It's a 5.1 surround sound receiver. I believe it's a DH550 or DH540, one of the two. Speaker wise, I've got some vintage Kenwood JL series speakers. I have those in all four corners. As for the center channel, I've got an old Sony center channel. I'm not quite sure the model number on it. And for our subwoofer, I'm using a Sony SWA or SAW 2500, I believe. Say 10-inch sub, 100 watts, thereabouts. So this is a very, very budget setup, and it's rather embarrassing. The most expensive thing is the TV. I think most of the speakers I got for free. I paid about 100 for the sub years ago. I think I paid 200 for the receiver, and the TV I paid about 300 or 400 for it, back in 2015. So this is a very budget setup, but what's great about the calibration disc is you can take the budget out of the budget setup. You can really make it look a lot more expensive than it actually is. And that's, I think, part of the point of this is, I want this video to hopefully help people to understand that, they don't have to have the most expensive thing in the world. If they take a little bit of time, calibrate their own stuff, you really can make a fantastic viewing experience for yourself. Alright, so one important thing when you go to calibrate your system setup, make sure that you're doing it in a quiet place. You don't have the AC running, dog barking, kids running around. Everything like that is going to distract you from what you're doing. B, if you're doing any sort of surround sound setup, it's going to mess up your signal levels of what you're trying to set, the correct volume levels that you're trying to set. Next thing to start off is grab your TV remote and make sure that on your picture settings you're starting with something like calibrated or movie mode. You can start with standard, but if starting in calibrated or movie mode will get you about 80 to 90% there right out of the gate, which is very helpful because then they have a lot less things that you need to tweak. Most people, when they buy a TV, they'll just switch over to something like Vivid. And at first glance, oh, this looks good. But you start looking a little bit, you realize, A, that is the wrong colors. There's too much blue going on the screen. Normally, you want more of a reddish look. It's more natural, more closer to that 6000, 6500K look. This is too cool. It's too blue. If you watch anything with skin tones, you'll definitely be able to pick it up. The next thing that you're going to notice is that there's way too much sharpness. If you look at WOW, it might be tough to see this on camera, but if you look at the WOW logo, I can literally see lines, vertical lines, all around the edge. Sharpness is way too jacked up. So we're going to go back to our preset that we had calibrated. Now I've already got this calibrated. Now, start off, you want to figure out how bright you want the TV's back screen to be. This is, the main light, like a light bulb. If you're in a bright room, normally I have the curtains open in this room, so it's a lot brighter. So I've got the brightness or the backlight up to 100%. Now you can change that to whatever you want, and it really won't affect any of the further settings like brightness, contrast, color, tint, sharpness. All that's going to stay the same. It's just going to affect how bright the overall image is going to be. So what's good is, I can set this for how I want to view it at 100%. If I lower the backlight down to say 65, 80%, all my settings are still going to be correct. They're just going to change and adjust with the level of the backlight. So that's really good starting out. Now, most TVs have tons of extra things. For instance, I've got a more picture. I've got all sorts of different things. Here's where my color temperature level is. I've got cool, which again puts too much blue. Normal, a bit more reddish, but it's actually more what your eye should be seeing. And then there's computer, which kind of splits the difference between the two. I still feel like this is way too blue for me. Your mileage may vary. It's all about personal opinion on this. This is just what most people say to do, go to normal. And honestly, I feel after watching some material that I've seen a lot, like Toy Story, or lots of things with skin tones, like Star Wars, Star Trek, different things like that, it really does look much better in normal. And it really helps not just with the skin tones, but also things like your black levels and contrast, things like that. This is another feature that Vizios have. Not all TVs may have this. This is what's called black detail. It says it improves the details in dark areas of the picture, high provides the strongest effect. What I have found that this has done is lowers what you can see in terms of your blacks. Your blacks won't go all the way black when you turn this on, and that causes problems with contrast and other things like that. But it also will change the colors a little bit and mess up with your grayscaling and different things like that, I leave it off. I say don't bother with it. Or if you got a similar setting, I'd say turn it off. I have another setting here, active LED zones. This is supposed to help reduce or improve the contrast ratio, and it can lower different parts of the screen to make certain parts blacker than need to be black. In theory, that works great. In reality, this set, not so much. Other sets, I think some Sonys and some different things like that, maybe some of the newer higher quality Vizios, some Samsungs and LGs, do this a lot better than others. What I found when you turn it on is it darkens it looks like, but it's really not darker. Not only that, it actually blurs the whites a little bit and reduces the sharpness that you're seeing. And so I leave it off. It feels like, to me, it's not worth it. I say turn it off. Lots of people recommend, especially Vizios, turn it off. I don't really need to reduce motion blur, so I leave clear action off. Plus, it can introduce some flicker, and it will lower how bright the TV set can get. If you are viewing any digital source, you really don't need to do any digital noise reduction, either from your player or on your TV. It's just going to add more artifacts. It's going to add more smudging, kind of a smear smooth look. I say avoid that at all costs. Game low latency can be helpful if you play video games or anything like that. I leave it off. This TV has got very, very little lag on it, which is great for games, so I just leave that off. This will help you adjust your size and position. Don't really need to worry about that. Film mode is actually really helpful with your 3.2 pull downs, especially if you are on a TV that is not 120 Hz or 240 or anything like that. This is actually a 60 Hz TV, but it can accept a 120 Hz signal into it. Doing the 3.2 pull down, most TVs can, since probably late 90s. So what this will do is it help with that 3.2 pull down and give you that 24p frames per second that you'll see. It really, really does help. Definitely leave this setting on. And your last setting on here is gamma. This is still something that's a little over my head. You can in fact choose different gamma points. It's where basically you're wanting the curve to be for your, not only just your colors, but you're also your brights and darks. I usually go about 2.1. Most target gammas, people go for 2.2. I do 2.1 just because it's a bright room and it helps a little bit. But it can go all the way to 2.4. Most people don't calibrate that high. 1.8 is a little too washed out. 2.1 I feel is the sweet spot for me in my situation. But every situation is going to be different. Most people will say all these advanced things, just turn them off. They really can be more detrimental to your picture than helpful. So that's that. And there's also, every TV is going to have a sound menu where you can adjust different things in it as well. So we'll go to audio, take a look, turn TV speakers on and off, turn an extra surround sound processing. I don't need that. I have real surround sound. Volume leveling, if you want everything to be same, equal level. You can adjust your balance, lip sync. I don't have an issue where I would need to fix that. Your digital audio out, if you wanted to go as a PCM, which is basically raw, uncoded stereo, or if you want to send it out as bitstream, how you want the analog out to go, fixed or variable, equalizer, different things like that. So now let's actually look at WoW. So there are 3 tabs down here on the bottom. First tab is your Discover tab, and it's got a little cartoon home theater thing, basics with Goofy. It's kind of cute. Then you have your introduction to everything. You got a beginner level version, an advanced version of it, and then there's a spot for Disney Blu-rays and stuff like that. Your next level here, now this is probably the main important one, is your optimizer level. And there's different categories, obviously: beginner, advanced, and expert. There's also a very handy tool called a pixel flipper. And say you got a TV and there's a pixel stuck and it won't change. What this will do is you can run it for about 24 hours or so, thereabouts, or just however long you need to, and it can help switching the pixels one at a time. It can help alleviate that. But we're not going to do that because I don't have a stuck pixel, so I'm not going to waste your time with that. Back to the menu here. And we'll start with the beginner. It's got introductions for everything, and we got split into two different categories, video and audio. Let's do video. There's a tool introduction. You can go through brightness. It has a description of what brightness is and how it works, instructions on how to calibrate it, and then it's actually got a calibration setting into it. It's got the same thing for contrast, aspect ratio, color, sharpness, viewing angle. Go into audio. Main audio tool introduction. You can calibrate for stereo, 5.1, 6.1, 7.1. I'm a 5.1 setup, so we'll go check out that. There are different things in here. You do speaker ID, make sure, if I was supposed to be hearing audio coming out from the center channel, and if it goes to center channel and it's coming out of, my left surround, obviously I know if I got my wires crossed, I need to go check on that, which is good. Same thing for polarity. If you wire your speakers out of phase, things are not going to sound correctly. So it's got polarity tests that you can do. Noise floor, which is very beneficial. It lets you know how much background noise is going on. You also can do a buzz and rattle test and display different tones through a frequency range to let you know, do I have a speaker that's buzzing or rattling, or is there something nearby that's buzzing or rattling? Very helpful too. Obviously, advanced level just kicks it up a notch. So you got video, calibration tools, display, evaluate what you've set up. Same thing for audio. When you click on these, you can set up for different things. You can do an LCD or plasma, CRT, a DLP, projector, or OLED. I've got LCD, so you can go into these. These are mostly what I deal with is the advanced stuff. So you got advanced brightness, and it's all very similar to the previous levels. It just builds on top of one another in terms of depth of what you can do and what it's looking for, which is very helpful. So you got brightness, contrast, aspect ratio, chroma, hue, sharpness and focus, overscan test, your AV sync, different things like that. Now, once you've optimized things the way you need to, you can jump over to the experience tab and you can launch different things. You can play the loop, or you can go to different scenes. And we'll check out something here. There's a scene from Toy Story. So you see that looks pretty good. Now this is my personal calibrated setting. I've gone through all of this stuff, calibrate things the way I want to, and it looks really good. But if we go up here to our presets, this is how standard out of the box you would get your TV and open it, and that looks really dark, way too sharp. Colors don't look right, everything looks too blue. Not what you want. Bump it up enough, everything pops like it should. Sharpness isn't too much. You make out the details very well, and Rex looks fantastic. You can see the little grains in the sand. Black levels are the way they should be, white levels are the way they should be. Your colors look good. And if you take it over, say vivid, like most people do, you can see that everything, it pops. You can actually see too much noise going on in Rex. If you look at Rex, the sharpness is way too high. Most people will set this and just think, it's good enough. But as you can see, once you calibrate things, you can really get a more natural how it's actually supposed to look, and it doesn't hurt your eyes. But you see, that's just about perfect. We'll take a look at another scene real quick. Another one I like to really look at is this scene from Nightmare Before Christmas, because there's actually quite a bit of detail that you can look at this. If I can go where, there we go, click on it. I'll just do the 5.1. I've got the sound turned down so you won't hear anything anyways. But as you can tell from this scene, there's a lot of detail going on. Now, you can definitely tell your blacks are where they should be, your contrasts, perfect. But if we take a look at some of the presets, here's that standard again. Way too dark, you can't hardly see anything in the image. There you go, everything looks good now. And here's that vivid, just, things are way too off. With that calibrated, everything is about where it should be. And it looks really, really fantastic. Now here's the scene from Star Wars. What I find is, after you've done your calibration, it's important to get a movie that you're very familiar with to see if things are lining up the way they should be. So this is a movie I've seen countless times. I'm very familiar with it. I know what things should look like in it. So you can see here, your skin tones are really good. Your detail is good. Your sharpness isn't too high or anything like that. Looks really, really nice. Now, if you do things like this and go back to standard, too dark, too blue, can't make out as many details. There, everything pops. You go to your vivid setting, it burns your eyeballs out because it's way, way too bright, way too sharp. It's too much going on, but yet things look too blue and too washed out at the same time. Calibrated, everything looks perfect. You can make out all sorts of nice textures. You know, this is an old film, so obviously, you know, you got some film grain going on too. Nothing's gonna look perfect on this, but you can tell, you know, it looks the way it should, and you're really getting the best picture right there. Now, another thing I wanted to mention was the color, particularly with faces. That's when you can notice things the most. So this is our normal warm color temperature. Go to blue, things actually look better on their faces, but nothing else looks right. Part of that is there's been some discussion about how there's too much red in this Blu-ray copy, or just the special edition version of Star Wars period. I tend to agree with that, but there's obviously too much blue here. That looks a little bit better with all the other colors. I think their faces still look a little too red. There's not much you can do about on that one. You go to computer, it kind of cuts the balance a little bit, but it's still not as good as going to normal, you know, reddish, that 6000, 6500K look. So that's kind of where you want to be. So there you go. That's just a quick look at what a calibration disc can really do to really help improve your viewing experience, really nail that picture and that sound quality. Now, I just want to say, first off, I was not sponsored by Disney or anyone from this review of this disc here. This is actually my own personal disc. I bought this a couple years back, and it's really made a world of difference. Now, unfortunately, this is discontinued / locked in the vault, how Disney likes to do it. So it is kind of hard to track down. It was originally about $30 or $40 when it was first out. It's a little bit more expensive now if you try to track it down on Amazon or eBay or someplace like that. I definitely think it's worth it. Like I said, there's other ones. There's a Spears and Munsell disc. There's a digital video essentials type disc. There's lots of these out there. I just feel like this product here is very professional, really nice. Lots of tools to help you. Lots of tools to help evaluate things afterwards. It's also really, really easy to use. It explains everything in tons of details, either through the instructional videos or through the guidebook that's included with it. Really nice set, really easy to use, great functionality. Definitely recommend picking this up, or just a calibration disc, period, if you really want to get the best quality you can get out of your home system. So that's all for now. Till next time, let me know what you think in the comment section. Give me some thumbs up and some subscribes. See ya.